Right now, the United States and its Western allies have heavily concentrated their naval assets in the Middle East, attempting to secure the Red Sea and the Strait of Hormuz. With commercial traffic forced to reroute around Africa, global maritime attention is fixed on a handful of surface-level conflicts. This shift has created a massive strategic vacuum in the Indian Ocean, a body of water that controls the bulk of East-West sea trade. And while Western navies are distracted, that vacuum is quietly being filled. China's People's Liberation Army Navy is rapidly shifting toward an all-nuclear submarine fleet. These new vessels possess the range and endurance to push far beyond the Pacific, extending Beijing's military reach directly into the Indian Ocean. But before submarines can operate effectively in foreign waters, they need to know the terrain. Beijing has deployed a fleet of high-tech civilian research vessels to meticulously map the ocean floor. These ships deploy unmanned underwater gliders and high-resolution sonar to harvest critical data. They are mapping thermocline layers, ocean currents, and salinity levels, environmental factors that submarine commanders use to hide from enemy sonar. While the world focuses on surface-level interceptors in the Red Sea, Beijing is systematically acquiring environmental data its submarines need to remain undetected across the Indian Ocean. China's push into these waters is driven by geographical vulnerability. Strategists call it the Malacca Dilemma. Nearly 80% of China's imported crude oil and a massive portion of its global trade must transit through the Indian Ocean and squeeze through the narrow Malacca Strait to reach the mainland. If an adversary blocks that route, the Chinese economy stalls. To secure these vital sea lines, Beijing is methodically encircling the region politically. They are cultivating ties with regional partners, compelling leaders in the Maldives to demand the withdrawal of Indian military personnel from their islands. This political maneuvering translates into physical infrastructure. Chinese companies have financed and built dual-use deep-water ports across the region, most notably in Sri Lanka and Pakistan, creating potential resupply hubs for an expeditionary navy. This strategy is directed from the highest levels of the Chinese government. The goal is to secure a permanent military presence in what authoritative Chinese texts now refer to as the Unified Two Oceans region. This systematic encirclement places a direct threat on India's doorstep. Outnumbered in ship production, New Delhi is answering Beijing's naval expansion with a radical, geography-based counteroffensive. India simply does not have the industrial capacity to match China's massive shipyard output ship for ship. Instead, New Delhi is weaponizing its own geography. India controls archipelagos perfectly situated at the ocean's most vulnerable entry points. By militarizing these remote islands, the military is constructing a network of unsinkable aircraft carriers. The strategy relies on simple geometric reality. The Indian Ocean is vast, but to enter or exit efficiently, foreign navies must pass through narrow geographical bottlenecks. India is fortifying Lakshadweep on the western approach and the Andaman and Nicobar Command on the eastern flank. By transforming these island chains into heavily armed outposts, India creates a continental-scale spatial chokehold. It nullifies the advantage of a larger fleet size by forcing an adversary to sail directly into a concentrated zone of defense. On the western flank, this strategy materializes in the Lakshadweep archipelago. Here, on the tiny island of Minicoy, India recently commissioned the INS Jatayu naval base. The commissioning of the base was led by India's top naval brass, reflecting an aggressive new posture to elevate existing maritime detachments into fully independent, offensive naval hubs. Minicoy Island sits just 258 kilometers from the Maldives, straddling the 8 and 9-degree channels. These waters carry a massive portion of east-west commercial traffic. Operating from this forward position, the Indian Navy establishes a persistent capability to monitor Chinese survey vessels and newly supplied Pakistani attack submarines operating in the Arabian Sea. And the base is slated for massive expansion. Current plans include constructing a dual-use airfield and upgrading the port facilities to eventually accommodate major military assets, including India's premier aircraft carriers. INS Jatayu establishes a permanent, fixed radar horizon. It acts as the nation's eyes and ears, effectively locking down the western approach against covert surface or subsurface transit. Over on the eastern flank lies the Andaman and Nicobar Command, India's only unified tri-service theater. This island chain sits directly across the western entrance of the Malacca Strait. New Delhi is executing rapid infrastructure upgrades here. They recently resurfaced and expanded the 2.7-kilometer runway at the Car Nicobar Air Base, enabling high-tempo operations for Sukhoi 30 MKI fighter jets armed with supersonic cruise missiles. Just 150 kilometers from the Malacca Strait entrance, India has launched a $7.6 billion mega-project on Great Nicobar Island, integrating an international shipping terminal with a dual-use military airport and a deep-water naval enclave. These island airstrips give India a distinct tactical advantage. They allow long-range maritime patrol aircraft to launch directly over the maritime choke points. Flying high above the strait, these aircraft drop sonobuoys and employ advanced sensors, artificially elevating India's sonar and radar horizon across tens of thousands of square miles of ocean. With continuous aerial surveillance layered over fixed island radar, this eastern gate denies China any hope of covert transit through the narrow Malacca Strait bottleneck. The resulting geopolitical board reveals a sharp irony. In its effort to secure trade routes and encircle India with port infrastructure, Beijing has inadvertently forced its navy to operate inside a geographic trap. The Malacca dilemma remains unresolved. China's primary economic vulnerability is now under constant surveillance from India's fortified island command. Any attempt by a Chinese submarine to project power into the Bay of Bengal or the Arabian Sea means plotting a trajectory through narrow straits, only to find themselves colliding against a glowing blue wall of Indian sensors and anti-submarine aircraft. By holding these geographic extremes, India has turned the vast open ocean into a locked-room tactical scenario. However, physical geography alone does not win a maritime conflict. As India focuses heavily on its northern land border, its actual naval shipbuilding pace is slowing down. Major procurement programs for advanced submarines and surface combatants face persistent delays. Stationary island fortresses require moving assets to enforce the chokehold. Against a Chinese fleet that is expanding and modernizing exponentially, India's naval capacity is severely strained. To bridge this capability gap, India is deepening its strategic partnerships with the United States and Australia, focusing specifically on advanced anti-submarine warfare. This coalition relies on interoperable equipment, like the shared use of P-8 patrol aircraft and MH-60R helicopters, alongside high-tech data sharing and the development of unmanned underwater drone networks to supplement India's physical bases. The Indian Ocean has become a heavily contested battle space. With fixed island outposts on one side and an expanding nuclear submarine fleet on the other, the outcome of this undersea competition will determine who secures the flow of global trade and energy.